Well, thank you guys for taking the time to do this interview with me. It's my 146th interview for my 150th show, which is pretty cool to be able to say that I can do it with you guys in Wings Denied.
Thank you very much for having us.
Oh, absolutely no problem. I know I've been trying for over a year to be able to get you guys on the show, and it's awesome to finally be able to get you guys when you're in between Mirrors for Prince and the upcoming EP whenever that decides to drop. So, yeah. What can you tell me about Mirrors for Prince a year and a half later?
Well, I mean, we're really happy with how Mirrors did. It came out last May, and, you know, we spent about 2.5 years writing for that record, and we recorded it with Jamie King and had a really good time doing that, and so we're really glad to see how well it's been received. Even when it first came out, like, we were in, like, the top 5 on Bandcamp for almost a month for the metal category, and it was just cool to see a lot of people listening to it, and as a result of that, we signed with Outer Loop for management, which was awesome, and we've played a lot of really great shows and some cool tours since, so I'm happy with how it's done, and I mean, the new EP's better, but, you know, it'll be cool.
Yeah, I know it's usually true of bands who put out their first album because they spent so many years on it. How sick are you guys of the first album right now?
It depends what song. For me, at least, there are a few of them that, like no matter how many times I do it, I'm still going to enjoy playing 6 Years in a Day live. We play that every set. We're going to try and continue to do that for as long as our set lengths will let us. But other ones on the record that I will choose not to name, I would be very happy to never play again.
Yeah, agreed.
So I'm assuming with the new EP that is recorded, right?
Yes.
Very cool. What can you talk about as the direction of the new EP?
Well, we went north. We recorded in Massachusetts. That's a joke. Let's see. I mean, I feel like one of the things that I always liked about Wings is that we try not to, like, play any particular style of music. Like, we have songs like Gen Y, which are very fast-paced and forward, and we have songs like Neon, which are, like, post-rocky in a way, and then 6 Years, which is super long and proggy. And I think the new EP kind of continues that idea where, like, some of the songs sound like they could be on, if I say so, Sirius XM radio, and some of them are like, whoa, that's like 7 minutes long and mostly in 9/8, but, you know, all over the place.
Yeah, we just took what we liked about Mirrors for a Prince and sort of expanded upon the things we really wanted to do next with it.
Oh, very cool. And there's no expected date for when it's going to drop, right?
Not at this time. We are working on that. It is a process.
I can definitely understand why. So I'm assuming with the release of the new EP that there would be a next album that would come after that. Is there any work as far as that comes, or are you guys just focusing on the EP?
Well, I guess, like, to put things in a timeline, Mirrors for a Prince was recorded a year before it came out. So, you know, during all that time, we started doing some writing, and when it came time to record the new EP, I had some songs from before that didn't even make it onto Mirrors that we were considering. So we kind of have, like, a big bank of all this material that we've started working with, but we picked the songs that at the time we liked the most and wanted to make an album out of for Mirrors. Same thing with the EP, but there's a lot of stuff that's left over from both those sessions, and I've worked on some new stuff on my own, but not really taken it to the whole band yet. And I think we have a lot of, like, new parts, but not necessarily a lot of new songs done. So obviously there will be another record. I mean, obviously putting the EP out's the important thing right now, and I have no idea when that'll happen, but yeah, there's work done.
There's a lot of material still that we have yet to use.
Oh, very cool. So with all that material that you haven't used yet, is it full-fledged songs? Is there things that are still work in progress, or is there any ideas as far as that so far?
All over the board. A couple things that are full songs, but even then, I mean, when
it's a work in progress until it's recorded, you know.
As a full song, I mean, even the songs that we did for the EP and for Mirrors, going into the studio, we come in with one idea, and after we sit down and talk to who's producing it and talk about things that you can't really plan out ahead of time, like how to do certain production tricks, like a high-pass filter in certain places, or like a weird effect on the vocals. So none of it's really done until it's, like, done and recorded, but...
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, you said it best. Like, the songs are not finished songs until they're on record. So it's cool to see that everything will be a work in progress, and it will constantly change until it records.
And then maybe and even then live, I don't know. I don't think Alec actually knows any of his drum parts. I think he just kind of improvises some of it. But
yeah. So what would you say is the biggest learning experience from Mirrors for a Prince and the new EP, as far as what you've learned as a band?
Maybe it's the marketing and the business aspect, and just uniting, artwork with sort of the thematic elements of the full album concept,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, a lot of bands don't realize that until they get to that level. They realize how important that is in a band.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a business entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. And I think, with that, it's pretty obvious that, being well networked and connected in general is like an important and helpful thing in life, no matter what industry you're in. But, after just years of booking tours independently and meeting people all over the country, it just amazes me. Like, that's probably been the biggest learning experience, is just kind of going from my small town in North Carolina and seeing like all these similar metal communities and prog communities all over the United States, and how everyone just like has all these similar interests and wants to work together to put out cool music. And that's it for me, I guess, just seeing that everywhere.
Yeah, and then that's another huge aspect as well. I mean, people don't seem to realize like how close the metal community actually is, and they want to be able to support each other. A lot of people think that like everyone is out for themselves, but really, like bands really do care about other bands that are out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And a great aspect of that was just back in August when you guys were able to tour with Native Construct.
Yeah, that was sweet. Native and Outrun the Sunlight. Shout outs to them too. They're cool.
Oh, that's very cool. I wish that would have came a little closer to the Midwest, but I understand with like time constrictions and stuff like that. But it's really cool to be able to see like a really cool tour with that, and seeing Native Construct already being on Metal Blade and Outrun the Sunlight are making a great name for themselves, and of course you guys as well.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a really good group of people to tour with. I think we're all like at a similar level in terms of the size of our fan bases and our relative popularity and styles right now. So it's a lot of people came out to the shows, and we had a great time on that tour. We had so much fun throughout, and that obviously is like the end goal. So
very much so. And it's important to be able to tour with bands and musicians that you're going to be able to get along with and you enjoy the music. Otherwise it's going to make for a terrible tour.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, is there any tour plans in 2016?
Yes,
there are. Yeah.
Anything you can talk about yet, or is that still under wraps?
Honestly, I could give you, we do not at this moment have any set of dates booked, but there are particular things that we're trying to do that we haven't necessarily done before that may be a little more difficult. So as a result of that, we're
a little foreign to us.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's a longer process as well.
Oh, so. Sure. With the EP, is there like any talks of any label speculation at all, or is it going to be an independent release?
Since we signed with Outerloop, it's pretty clear to everybody that trying to get us on a label is a priority. I, at this point, don't want to speculate about anything. And the record, when we say it's recorded, it really got finished just a few weeks ago. So we are in the process of talking to some people, but nothing is concrete at this moment, and I can't really say who yet as a result of that.
It could still go.
Yeah, we really have no idea at this point. We're just kind of hoping for the best.
Very, very cool. And I'm hoping for the best for you guys too, because with how much I love Mirrors for a Prince and how much I know I'm going to be loving the new EP from you guys, I can't imagine you guys are going to let me down this time. I just imagine that you guys are going to be getting bigger and better from here, and a new EP in the relative future will be really cool to see.
We hope so too. It's, that's always the hardest part about it. You get an album done and you're like, oh, I'm so stoked, I want to show it to everybody, but you have to wait months and months to be able to put it out, and that's the least fun part of it, but that's okay. We played a couple of new songs on the tour we did with Native Construct and Outrun, so if you were listening to this show and you were lucky enough to be at one of those shows, you got to see one of the first live performances, and probably the only live performances in 2015, I think, of those songs.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Which songs did you do off the new EP?
the first 2 tracks.
Okay. Is there anything you can like talk about as far as like how it sounds musically compared to like the first album?
It sounds like a truck driving over a field. No, I'm just kidding. When we recorded the album, we asked our producer the same question. He goes, "It sounds like a truck driving over a field of babies." But I think realistically, I don't know. I mean, we're a band that focuses like mostly on riffs. Riffs are the most important aspect of Wings Denied, and trying to, you know, take that, but then not make it just riff. So have a little bit of continuity to the songs. So you're gonna hear a lot of riffs. I mean, that's still the way it is. There are some parts that are in 4/4, unfortunately, but there are also a lot of parts.
Forget it. I don't care anymore now.
It's okay. Our singer made me. You can blame him if anybody. But
you guys sold out already on the first EP.
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
Oh no, that's really cool. I'm glad to see that you guys do care so much about the riff aspect of the songs, rather than just making sure it sounds catchy or it sounds heavy or just crazy time signatures. You guys care about the riffs of the song, and that's really cool to see.
I mean, the bands I grew up listening to were ones that really focused on that in a lot of ways. Like the big 3 in prog music for me were Dream Theater and Opeth and Pain of Salvation.
Mine as well.
Yeah, great, exactly. So those were the bands that like my friend first showed me. Dream Theater was the first one when I was 12 years old, and I was like, oh my god, what is this? And I think it was Panic Attack was the first song, and just like that riff when it starts off with the bass intro and everything. Like, I don't know, John Petrucci's one of my biggest influences guitar playing wise, and Opeth as well. I mean, Michael Ackerfeld writes incredible, just really great evil sounding riffs, and I really try to, I guess, I don't know, not copy them in any sort of way, but like they're definitely big inspirations.
Yeah, that's huge of me too, because Dream Theater and Opeth I pretty much discovered right around the same time. In the one aspect, Dream Theater got me really into progressive metal, being able to show like melodicness with heaviness, and helped me become a prog fan from there. And then Opeth, of course, being prog and all of that, helped me get into growling and screaming and appreciate the death metal side of music as well, because I could never get into death metal before I got into Opeth. But then once I listened to Opeth, at first I hated it, but then like 6 months later I went back to it and I really started to appreciate it. I love the music that was going on behind it, and it, like, both of those bands have influenced me so much in what I listen to and what I play.
Opeth was a really funny story for me because growing up, I used to play music pretty loudly in my room, and I'm talking, this is when I was like 13 and 14 years old, and my mom wasn't big into the heavy stuff, so I would play like Opeth or whatever, and she'd be like, turn that off, like I'm trying to do work or whatever. So then Opeth became this band that like I really liked, but I could only listen to when my mom wasn't home, and at 14 years old that made them the coolest band in the world to me. So like that's really how I got into metal.
That's awesome. As far as my mom, the only time she's ever commented on the music that I listened to was the day that I picked up Saint Anger, the Friday that it came out, and I put it in, and during the second song she just turns to me in the car and says, "You like this?" And I look back at her and I said, "I don't know." But
the best answer.
Yeah, that's awesome. As far as listening to music, of course, with it being mid-October 2015, everyone's going to be doing their favorite albums of the year. Have you guys have any favorite albums of the year so far?
Yeah, I got lots.
I'm trying to think. You go ahead.
Okay. Well, I guess so I'm huge into BT Bam, and Coma Ecliptic is awesome, unquestionably. I haven't heard the whole thing yet, but based off the 2 Intronaut tracks that are currently out, I'm willing to bet that's going to be up there. They're an incredible band as well. Of course, the Native Construct record, we wouldn't have toured with those guys if they sucked, so, that has to be good. What else? Oh, there's a band called Idola from Utah. I saw them with Stolas and Artifex Pierre earlier this year, and their record is awesome. I've had it on repeat for a really, really long time throughout the year. Let's see.
The new Tesseract?
Oh, yeah, the new Tesseract is good. They're more of like a grower band for me. I've only listened to it like 4 times now, and I need like 10 or so before I can really get into it, just with all that atmosphere. But I know it's good. I just I have to experience it more. What do you got?
The Ocean Split is about about to come out. That'll definitely be my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Mono in the Ocean, that's just going to be arguably the best splits in a very long time.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked for that. We've been playing the Ocean song all the time. We're both also big fans of Enter the Void, so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I just got that promo a few days ago. I haven't had a chance to listen to that.
It's awesome.
Check it out.
Yeah. Do you know the movie Enter the Void?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, if you've seen that movie and know how it goes and what it's like, then like the music is a perfect, as far as I can tell at least, a perfect, I guess, embodiment of that.
Oh, very cool. Little fun fact here about Minnesota. There's actually a metal record store called Into the Void Records.
Oh, cool. We'll have to come up and visit sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm only about like 15 minutes away from it too. And that's pretty much like where all the venues are too. Like in St. Paul, like all the venues are. So hintity hint hint, please come to Minnesota.
We'd like to. I mean, honestly, the only reason we haven't so far, it's on our list, is just because up until these last couple tours, I booked them all myself, and it just wasn't a place I was connected with anybody. And then in these last couple tours, we've been booked with an agent, and since we're mostly based on the East Coast, and the bands we've been touring with have been based on the East Coast, we can only go so far west before we know we're going to lose a lot of our audience, and it just doesn't make sense. But as we expand, hopefully with our new record coming out and more bands and stuff, we'll be able to tour with bands from all over the country, go to more places, everywhere else in the world that we'd like to eventually get to.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, it's totally understandable why you guys haven't hit Minnesota. I know it's not like the top market in the United States, especially with Chicago just being about 6.5 hours away. I know that's usually more of the hot spot in the Midwest.
Yeah, we did play Chicago on this last tour.
Yeah, that's right. And that was the closest. And if it wasn't for me going to Prog Power, I was really considering driving out to Chicago just to see you guys.
That would have been sweet. But, with Prog Power and everything, seeing Native there, I totally understand.
Although I did get to hear you guys at Prog Power. Right before Native Construct started, like a few songs in, I started hearing Generation Y over the PA speakers, and then I just had to get a hold of you. They're playing Generation Y for you guys, and then they announced you guys and everything. It was really cool.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and then they actually did it again on Saturday as well, too. So you guys got played twice at Prog Power.
Awesome.
Rob from Native hit me up, and he was like, hey, I've been hearing you guys all weekend. It's like tour again.
Oh, that's cool. So what other bands would you like to be able to tour with in the future, considering the new EP coming out?
I mean, how realistic do we have to be with this answer?
You can make it as realistic or as much of a cream dream as you want to.
Well, I mean,
Primus.
Yeah, Primus would be sweet. I would really love to tour with the Deftones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's do Dream Theater, Deftones, Primus, and us.
That would be one hell of a show.
That would be an incredible time. But then Dream Theater would play for like 4 hours, and we'd all get 20-minute sets. So
Worth it.
Yeah, it probably would be, honestly. I guess realistically, I don't know. I'm pretty open to tour with anybody. Anybody who's playing cool music nowadays.
Protest, Periphery.
Any of those bands would be sweet. Stolus, I like them a lot.
Intronaut, BT Bam.
Yeah. Pretty much everybody. There's so many bands making good music nowadays that any tour that we get offered, or that we end up finding ourselves in connection with, it's gonna have good bands on it. I mean, even just this in the next couple weeks, I'm seeing Hiatus Coyote on Tuesday, Caspian Thursday, Edola again the next week, Sirens and the Fine Constant the week after, Tesseract, Sky Harbor, and the rest of them the week after that. So it's there's clearly no shortage of good bands out there that are touring. So everyone is cool to tour with. That's who we want to tour with. We want to tour with everyone.
We just want to play.
Yeah, we just don't want to stop touring. We'll just go from one to the next.
That is the perfect answer. Just being able to be that open, caring that much about the bands, and loving the bands that you're playing with, I mean, that's just definitely the great way to go about it. And I'm very jealous of you guys being able to go see the Tesseract tour. I unfortunately have to miss that when that comes to Minnesota, as I have another show that I have to go to that's the same night, which rarely happens in Minnesota. Usually they're so spaced out because we don't get as many shows, and just that day, November 10th, it seems like all these shows are happening at once, and I can't make it to all of them, but it's cool that you guys get to see that, because that is one of the best bills of 2015.
I'm pretty excited for it. We played with Tesseract before and had a really good time. And then the Contortionists are awesome. And Jordan's kind of a buddy, so that'll be cool to see him. And actually, our good friend Cody is doing merch for Tesseract, so so it'll be good to be able to hang out with him. He's a really good guy.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, actually, Michael Lassard of The Contortionist was actually one of the first guys to really get behind what I was doing, because I saw Last Chance to Reason 2 weeks apart in Minnesota, and we started becoming friends from there, and then he's been a big supporter of me ever since, so that's really cool to see.
They were a great band, Last Chance to Reason. My high school band opened for them when I was 17.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, because within 2 weeks I saw them opening for Obscura, and then 2 weeks later I saw them opening for Protest the Hero.
Wow.
Yeah, so kind of similar in progressive metal, but very different at the same time as well. All right, so I see we're getting almost pretty close to a half hour here. Once again, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. It's awesome to be able to take the time to talk to you guys and support all of the endeavors that you got going on. Before we close things out, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
Well, I have this 7-string acoustic guitar, and I can play you some of the new record if you want.
Oh yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Sure. Also, I have a couple of quick things. I'd like to say happy birthday to our good friend James, who was drumming in Native Construct on our past tour. I guess that's the important one, but it's his birthday, so shout outs to him.
Oh, awesome. Hopefully he hears it and enjoys it.
I'll make sure to send it his way.
All right, so what are you going to be playing for us?
Sure. So I'm gonna play. I don't know. Is your video on? Because I can show you the.
Oh yeah, the video's on.
Cool. So this is a 7-string acoustic, the new Ibanez AE something.
Let's give him one name.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a track from our new record. It's called Matches in the Wind, and I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but I'm gonna play one of the verse riffs to it, because last night we were jamming around and this one sounded the best on the acoustic. So yeah.
All right, take it away.
That's enough of the new EP.
I think that's the closest I've gotten to being Howard Stern, being able to talk to one of my favorite bands and be able to get an acoustic performance as well. Thank you so much for doing that. That was really cool to be able to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing the recorded electric version of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be cool. It sounds like that, with distortion and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so it's I'm picturing it in my mind right now, how it all flows together, and I think there's some pretty cool ideas that can come out of that as well.
Yeah, Luca does some cool vocals over that.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you once again for doing that great acoustic performance right there, a little bit of the snippet of the new EP, and once again, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. Check out Wings Denied on all your favorite social media sites. Make sure to keep up to date on everything they're doing and their brand new EP, which will be coming out hopefully in the near future.
Yes, it definitely will be coming out.